Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video is about my experience of my Cambridge interview. Obviously, since I'm at the University of Nottingham, I was rejected from Cambridge after my day of 3 interviews, and I wasn't surprised, to be honest. So I'm going to start by explaining my experience and how the interviews work and what I did during the day, and then I'm going to talk about what went wrong and the mistakes I made, which definitely led to me not receiving an offer. And then I'm going to sort of talk about some things I sort of feel in hindsight about the whole experience and about my application and whether I should have applied or not, just because I want to urge other people to think about these things before they apply. So first of all, the experience itself. So I applied for medicine at Gonville Keys College. I picked Gonville Keys, to be honest, I didn't really have much of a reasoning, so it was kind of a medium size. I think it had quite a lot of medical places compared to the others, and I didn't think this because it meant I was more likely to get a place, because that's not how it works at Cambridge. I just thought it might be nice to have a lot more medics at my college, and it was where Stephen Hawking studied, and I thought that was quite cool, and I'd had a wander around it, I think, on the open day, and I just sort of liked the vibe, so I just picked it for that reason, not an academic reason at all. I had my birthday, and my interview was then 2 days after my 18th birthday, and this, I think, was one of my downfalls. I stayed the night in Cambridge the night before my interviews just so that I was there and ready, because I think my interview started quite early in the morning. So when you first arrive, you kind of go to the waiting room in the college. So this was where everyone was waiting for their interviews. People would go in and come back after their interviews, and this was the first thing that struck me when I arrived, was that everyone was sat there with their chemistry A-level textbooks out, revising as if they were about to go into an exam, and I just thought, oh my god. It only just sort of hit me at that point how academic it was going to be, but I'll talk more about that in a moment. So yeah, I spent quite a bit of the day in the waiting room waiting for my interviews, sort of having a little chat to other people. At lunchtime I went and had lunch at one of the colleges, that was nice, and then in between interviews I kind of just tried to stay calm. I had 3 and they were quite spread out, so I had like a morning one, a sort of midday one, and then an afternoon one, and then went home in the evening. Just tried to enjoy being in Cambridge as well as much as I could while I was up there. What I think went wrong. So there's so many things I could have done better, so many mistakes I made, so many things I would tell people if they're going to an Oxford or Cambridge interview to do that I didn't. So the biggest thing I'd say, which would just sum up my mistake, was I just didn't do enough preparation. I just really didn't. I should have gone in to this interview having revised as if it was my A-level exam, because honestly that's what other people had done. What they want to see is that you have a really good grip on all of your A-level knowledge, and I mean I did, like I understood it and I'd learned a lot from the lessons, I'd done some studying on my own, I'd written up all my notes, I'd done all those things, but I hadn't actually revised it so that I could just speak about it in a lot of detail. There were just many things that stressed me out, so I'll just talk you through the day and every single thing that went wrong. My first interview, I turned up, there were kind of 2 doors and I was waiting outside because they said to wait until I was collected to go into the interview room. And then a man came out because I'd actually googled who my interviewers were before, and it didn't look like the man I thought was giving my interview, so I was a bit confused. But he ushered me in and he kind of said, like, mumbled, like, oh, is your name blah blah blah, and I didn't really hear it. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm here for the interview. I didn't really know what he was saying, but he seemed like he was very, like, knew what he was doing, so I sat down, and then he kind of said again, is this who you are? And I went, oh no, I'm Lucy. He got really annoyed at me as if I'd made a massive mistake, when honestly he'd ushered me into this room. So I was like, oh sorry, it's the wrong room. And he was sort of like, oh, tutting, like ushering me out again. And that was my first impression of Cambridge and the professors. It just was a horrible first impression, so I was already a bit sort of shaken up from this professor having got so annoyed at me for following him into a room that he led me into. My actual interviewer collected me and I went in and started the interview, and I think it started off kind of clinically based, kind of sort of ethical, something about dementia patients and care homes. I thought, yeah, this is nice, I can talk about this. And it very quickly got on to sort of more scientific things. I think he asked me something like how much water there was in the human body in litres, which I didn't know off the top of my head, but I sort of tried to work out. He asked me what's in the blood. I can't remember. Looking back on some of the questions now as well, being a second year medical student, they were actually very achievable. It's weird that I didn't used to know the answers, but I didn't. Doing A-levels, being however old I was, 18, I just didn't know the answers. And I knew from advice from everyone who's ever been to a Cambridge or Oxford interview, you're not expected to know the answers, you're just expected to talk through your reasoning. But the questions he was asking me, it was like I literally couldn't even think of reasoning. Like, how many litres of water are there in the human body? Like, you know that or you don't. And how can I talk through? Like, I just felt a bit out of my depth. That is how I can sum up the whole day. I just felt out of my depth already. And this was the nicest interview I had. And I was already struggling. And of course, you're meant to struggle. You're meant to find it challenging. But I just felt like I didn't say one single thing right. It was constantly sort of, I was getting a look of, oh, you really don't know that? Oh, that's bad. Like, I wasn't getting the reassurance, and I just felt stupid. I just sat there and felt stupid, like I knew nothing. So I came out of that feeling a bit like, okay, that didn't go so well. But maybe it did go well and I just didn't realise. Maybe I was actually saying some right things, but it was meant to be really hard. But then there were some simple questions he asked that I just struggled with. And so I was already thinking, okay, this is not going to be a nice day. But I just thought, no, I've got 2 more interviews, I'm just going to stay confident. My second interview was with a cardiologist and it was all about the heart. I waited outside and this was a really horrible experience because I could hear the applicant before me in the interview room and I could hear the interviewer going, oh, that's a really good idea. That's really well explained. Yeah, well done. And I could hear this guy talking constantly, like he had so much to say. I thought this is either going to be a good thing because maybe the questions aren't quite so challenging as the ones I had in my first interview and so I might be able to give good answers. Or I thought, oh no, is everybody else at these interviews just reeling off answers and able to say really good scientific things and I'm the only one that can't and I'm going to look stupid again. But anyway, I tried to sort of stay positive, keep my confidence. I went in, sat down, and once again I didn't get a very good first impression from this interviewer. The first thing he said to me was he looked through my sort of records. So I got 10 A stars at GCSE and my BMAT, which is the admissions test that you have to take for certain medical schools, Cambridge and Oxford being 2 of them. I mean, it wasn't amazing. I think it was basically bang on average, my BMAT, in regards to the rest of the country. And he said to me, oh, so your GCSEs are all right and your BMAT, I mean, it's not too bad. So really it's all going to rest on this interview then. And I was just like, oh. Firstly, please don't say my 10 A stars are all right. Like, I worked really hard for them. I know probably everyone that at the Cambridge interviews has a lot of A stars at GCSE, but I just felt like that was quite a belittling comment. And to say, oh, so everything is going to rest on your performance in this interview, just felt like, why are you sort of setting me up for anxiety when I've just walked in and trying to be confident? But I just thought, okay, like, yeah, you challenged me, I'll take the challenge. And to be fair, this was the one I think where preparation would have actually just made me do so much better. He started off by saying, so I'll start with a simple question. Can you just talk me through the blood flow through the heart? And this is something like now is completely easy to me. At A-level, I remember it being a concept I had to learn it. It was something I didn't just pick up straight away, but I learned it and I learned it really well. Never had any problems with it during revision, but I hadn't revised for this interview. And so in my head I was panicking. Like, I knew and had it in my head, but I couldn't like locate the knowledge. And he's just sat there staring at me. He's just told me this is a really simple question. I can't even think of an answer. But I did talk through it sort of slowly, a bit tentatively, and got through that fine. And then he sort of, basically, it was something like he made me draw a graph to do with volume and pressure in the heart and things, which now I could do. And when he told me the answer, I thought, oh my God, why did I not even consider doing this? But I just got it completely wrong. He gave me like a whiteboard to do it on, and I just drew the complete wrong thing. Like, I drew one line and it was meant to be like a line like going like this, like a circular thing. Which of course it is, because it's the heart and the heart pumps and it doesn't just decline like the line I drew. Yeah, and also it came up that we were talking about physics formulae in this interview. I honestly was having to remember GCSE physics to get through this. And he was like, working through it with me using these formulae. I just thought, I'm doing physics in a medicine interview and I just don't want to be here. Like, I just like, please stop asking me about physics that I don't know any of. But yeah, so came out again feeling stupid, feeling this like Cambridge just wasn't the place for me. I wasn't enjoying the experience, that was the thing. I wasn't enjoying the challenging questions. Like, I do like a challenge, but because I wasn't as prepared, but even maybe if I was prepared, I just wasn't enjoying it. And I thought, this is what seminars or tutorials at Oxford or Cambridge, this is what they're going to be like. This is the key feature of Cambridge, that you get to sit down and you get to have discussions with these amazing academic people, and they get to help you and push you and make you excel. And I just thought, I don't think I like this environment. I just really don't. But still, I thought, no, I'm gonna be positive for my final interview. I was feeling slightly more confident, and I mean, I thought it probably couldn't get any worse. And I thought, I just want one to go well. I want to come out of one and think, yeah, I gave that a good go. Like, I did all I could. But no, didn't go like that. My third interview was with a sort of biochemistry professor, and it was all about chemistry. And she was asking me all about esters and about bonds, and I had to draw bonds and I had to draw mechanisms, the things I hadn't really revised. Luckily, I think I'd done them quite recently, so I kind of had them in my brain, but she just was speaking to me as if I was stupid once again. I'm sure these amazing, intelligent people don't mean it to sound like that, by the way. I think they're meant to be intimidating and they're meant to make you want to really try and excel and challenge yourself. But I just wasn't enjoying the experience. Everything I did, everything I drew, she was saying, but that's not right, is it? And then I'd think, oh no, it isn't. And I felt like apologetic for my mistakes when actually I shouldn't really have been. But then I don't think she meant it to come across like that. I don't know, maybe they were just trying to help me along to get me to the answer. No judgment for the interviewers at all. This is just like the experience I had and how it felt for me. I knew they'd asked me about what was in my personal statement, and for Oxbridge, I'll talk about this in another video, but you kind of have to put a scientific bit into your personal statement, sort of to show your interest in science, as opposed to just talking about extracurricular activities, for example. So I'd written a bit about Alzheimer's disease and the mutations that can cause the familial form of it, and I had researched that a lot. That's the preparation I had done. I'd done a lot of reading into that, and she asked me some questions about it, which I did know, but then she just kept going and I just completely was like, I really don't know that. And simple things I should have looked at, to be honest, like things that I could easily have researched and I just didn't. And it was almost like every mistake I made, I wasn't as resilient as I should have been. I let it just drag me down further and further. So as I made one mistake, I thought, well, this interview's going wrong, I might as well not bother now. And I did still bother, but I think I just sort of was admitting defeat. Kept trying to the end though, didn't give up, and then came out and just thought, there's no way I've got in. Like, and I think as time went on away from the interview, as I sort of forgot about it, I thought maybe it did go all right. Maybe I kept getting stuck because they were asking me really, really difficult questions. But part of me just knew that no, it didn't go well enough. And I know I'm making it out to sound like I did no preparation and I went in and that's just stupid, I should have prepared. But like, part of it was that I just didn't enjoy the environment. And like, when I actually got my rejection letter, it gave me sort of a ranking. I can't remember how they did it, but it gave me a ranking of like, out of how many people applied, how many got in, and then where the cutoff was for where they would no longer let people in. And I wasn't too far off it. That's the thing. I was actually quite close to the cutoff, like almost close to getting in, if you like. So with all this said, do I regret applying and do I regret having the interview? Well, I still don't think I can give a definitive answer to this question. So part of me wants to say yes, I do regret it. Looking back, I don't actually think Cambridge was the right environment for me, and I know some people would excel in that environment, but I just don't think I would have done. Also at Cambridge, you have to write essays. They said for the medical course you get sort of a couple of essays a week, or one essay a week you have to write. I would not have enjoyed that. I do like essay writing, but I don't think I could have actually mentally dealt with doing an essay a week about medicine as well, not an art subject, a science subject. And also the Cambridge course is very scientifically orientated, so it's 3 years of science lectures, and there's not a lot of clinical experience in the first 3 years, whereas Nottingham, we have hospital placements, GP placements within the first few weeks of starting, and I do like that, and it makes it it reminds you why you're doing medicine and why you're learning all this science, which is to be a doctor at the end of it. I think Cambridge for me would have felt too scientific and almost like they're trying to create scientific medical researchers rather than doctors. I'm sure that's not the case, but I think for me it might have been too scientific. At Cambridge, I think I would have been so overcome with the workload, I maybe wouldn't have been able to achieve as good of a balance as I do at Nottingham. I would have always had a work-life balance, but I think I just would have found it too stressful and too much. If you want to apply for Oxbridge, do not let this video put you off at all. The university is amazing. It has some of the best teaching in the world, and I love the vibe there. I love how it feels old-fashioned, it feels like Hogwarts, the formals look amazing, and the whole sort of college vibe, just that part of it really appealed to me. But I actually ended up getting that because I had catered accommodation for my first year at Nottingham, and it was quite similar to how Cambridge is anyway. So don't just apply to Cambridge for that aspect, because you can actually get that at other unis like Nottingham. But yeah, I mean, I guess I will never know whether I would have enjoyed it or not. One thing that does bother me is that maybe the BMAT was a waste of time, so me doing that admissions test, I had to put quite a lot of work in to revise for that. And it did stress me out a little bit, and I had to work above what everyone else was doing for A-levels just to do the admissions test. But then I just sort of think, well, I was going over material anyway, like biology and chemistry material that I probably used in A-level anyway. It was nice to say I got a Cambridge interview, like it is nice to be able to say that and to say I had that experience, and it was kind of a fun experience. Like, I know I've just complained about the interviews for like 10 minutes, but it was a great day out. I loved going up there, I loved the city and exploring it, and I think that the interview experience was really good for me. It was good to get wider experience than what I've had already, and I think the rejection was good for me too, because other than that interview, whatever I've been interviewed for, whether it be a job or whether it be in university, I've always been successful. I've always done well in the interview and got the thing that I was trying to get. It was like a good reminder that yeah, you should have done more preparation, you know that, and that's why you weren't successful. Or part of me thinks maybe I just wasn't successful because the interviewers could see I just didn't suit the environment. I was getting panicky and worked up when I didn't know the answers, whereas there might have been people out there who stayed very level-headed and loved that they could then work through the answer with the interviewer, whereas I didn't, and that's fine. It just means I wouldn't have suited the environment. And I don't learn in the same way that people at Oxbridge do, and that's fine. I would have always regretted not giving it a go. I always would have done. A small part of me thinks maybe the main reason I applied was for the prestige of the university, which isn't a reason to apply to Cambridge. Obviously I did also apply because I thought the teaching methods would suit me, and I loved the environment and the vibe I got on the open day, and I thought it would be a place that would really push me academically and I'd really enjoy that. But yeah, maybe part of the reason I applied was because it would look good to say I went to Cambridge, and because it would be cool to be able to tell everyone, yeah, I'm at the University of Cambridge. But that's not a reason to apply, just to say you've been, like, that's just not a good reason to apply. At the end of the day, it wasn't to be, and I think that kind of happened for a reason, and I'm really happy with where I ended up. And it's weird to think that if I had gone to Cambridge, I wouldn't have met all the friends I have now. So I'll end the video here. Thanks very much if you watched, especially if you watched till the end. I hope this is helpful for any potential Oxbridge candidates. Please give the video a thumbs up if you liked it or if it was helpful. And remember to subscribe to my channel for more videos about university applications. I've just realised this piece of hair and it is defying gravity, and there's nothing I can do about it. Literally nothing. Like, I've literally tried to push it down so many times and it just keeps popping up. So we're just going to embrace it. Thanks again for watching, and see you soon for my next video. Bye!